some of you may already be aware that E3 is making history today. This is the first time in the history of Jacksonville that there's been an expo specifically for aspiring entrepreneurs. The idea for the Bankers Dialogue came from my experience in the past 22 years of working with entrepreneurs around the country. I've been blessed to have talked to over 5,000 to 6,000 entrepreneurs, everyone from Fortune 500 breaking into that realm to people that are making maybe $25,000 a year. They consider themselves successful. One of the things that comes up all the time in these conversations as I'm mentoring, training, and coaching is the difficulty they have with dealing with banks. Now, in my experience, I've had some amazing times in dealing with banks. I created the first partnership in Maryland between a collective of 20 entrepreneurs, the First National Bank in Maryland. This was right after they were coming out of the first housing crisis. And when savings and loans went through that debacle in the late 70s, early 80s, I actually watched my father create a coalition that helped build the first business incubator in Baltimore. So I learned early on that banks and bankers are people. And if you stop approaching them like this scary monster, or you allow yourself to be intimidated by some of the things that you don't know, instead of humbling yourself to say, I don't know, teach me, the experience can be much different. Every year I do events like this around the country, and invariably somebody asks me, how do you get sponsors? How do you make that happen? A big part of that is I understand the language of banking and I understand the language of money. Just like those of you in the cleaning business understand the language of cleaning, understand the language of education, understand the language of finance and payroll taxes, marketing. All of you here have a certain language that you understand. But do you understand the mindsets that go behind the language? And that's why we're here today. So we have 3 people that are here today that are going to share their knowledge, their expertise. Instead of me trying to introduce them and everything they do, I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. But I will let you know that I have DARRELL at the end, that is from Regions Bank, who is one of the sponsors for today. We have, there you go. And you'll get to clap again after they give the introduction. You hear just how fabulous they are. Jenny is here from BB&T Bank. And I just met this guy. Chief is here from Axiom Bank. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm really glad that he came all the way up from the Orlando area to be here today. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, and then after they do that, I'm going to ask a start-off question, and then from there we're just going to get into a dialogue. And the dialogue will go where it takes us. Do not ask questions about how do you get a loan right now, because they're not here to take your application. And I am not shy, I will stop you. But ask them the questions that are in your mind about how do you make a difference in having a good relationship with the bank. And those things that you've been hesitant to ask or always wanted to know that you didn't know who to ask, now's the time. We'll take as many questions as possible, and the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to get some business done. Is that okay? Phones once done, let's have fun begin. I'm going to ask Keith, since he has the mic, to start us off.
Good morning. My name is Keith Levin. I'm with Axiom Bank. I've been with the bank for about 9 years. Right now I'm a Vice President, Area Manager for Central Florida, Jacksonville, and Daytona Beach. Started with the company I was doing mortgages, so did a little bit of stint in the commercial side as well. So that is my experience with banking.
My name is Jenny McKeithen, and I am with BB&T Bank. I have been with the bank for 7.5 years now. I've actually started in the Louisville, Kentucky region with them and transferred here 5 years ago. I started with the bank as a teller, and now I am what we call a market leader. You name it, I do it. Whether it's being a teller one day, I have someone call out sick, But I do get to manage two teams. My goal is to really train them, help them reach their professional goals and work independently. So I have two excellent teams. And then I also am a small business officer. So I meet my clients where you are. So I'm not confined in my two spaces. I really go where you are. And then I'm also a lender on the personal side, as well as the business side. So like I said, if it's in the market, I can do it.
Yes, I'm DARRELL FOWLER. I'm with Regions Bank. I've been in Jacksonville a total of 4 days. I moved here from Tallahassee just this week. I serve as a business banker in our business banking department. Basically, my group deals with companies that have revenues from $1 million to $20 million. So, we're happy to be here today.
Let's get this started right away with some of the one thing that's in my mind. For an entrepreneur that's in this room, when I say to you, what's the one thing that you need them to understand when it comes to dealing with your bank and making the best impression as far as relationship building wise? What is that? And it could be either something that you know you want them to leave here with doing, or something you want to make sure they understand, please don't do, as it pertains specifically to your bank as a culture and as a way of doing business. Darrell?
What I'd like you to leave here with today is the idea that a banking relationship is more than an interest rate. There's way more to it. Our mantra right now is to advise, guide, and educate. And like I said, there's more to what we do. There's more to what you're looking for in a bank than an interest rate. So your banker needs to bring you ideas. They need to be involved in your business and understand your business. So if you don't leave here with anything other than that today, I think it goes a long way in moving forward you in your entrepreneurship.
If I could leave here with definitely knowing something that you would remember about me and BB&T, and I say this throughout because I really believe it, but I'm the best banker in town. And no offense to that, I think you're awesome too. But I would say that because if I can't help you, I'm going to know somebody who can help you. And that's what we want you to know as small business owners. Very important for you to have a relationship with your banker. And then I say not your bank, but your banker. Get to know them because you are a person. They can really help you understand how the bank works. I know he said we're not just an interest rate. We're not about fees, okay? And that's something I think is a misnomer. Because if we can educate you on how to use your account, how it works, then you won't be with those fees. If we can't help you in an area, we want to be able to tell you who can help you in that area. So we want to be advisors, relationships, and not just fees or interest rate oriented.
If I want you to leave with one thing, it's preparation. I think they hit it all. Understanding banking, because like you said, banking is not about fees. We want to make sure you're educated and understand how the banking works, from checking accounts, from your loan, and get the right information about your business. And understand that, know your industry. I mean, people come up to us, I know you got a passion about the business, but know your industry and what goes around it, because not only banks can't do it, we partner with so many other organizations that we can find the right person for you.
When you're talking about the education aspect of it, all three of you mentioned that. What is it that the entrepreneur really needs to start getting educated on? What are some of those key figures or key pieces of information about their industry that they need to make sure when they walk in the door, they know? It may not just be profit and loss statement, some of those buzzwords. What are the things they need to brush up on as far as their demographics, as far as so that you know that they're not just running a hobby, they're running a business and they're serious about this relationship?
Everything starts with your vision, and that vision to a bank is on your business plan. That's like a map. How you getting started, how it's going to be funded, where you want to go, what's your demographic, who are you trying to touch, how much it's going to take you to start this business, where you're going to be at in the next 5 years. So that business plan, sitting down, it speaks everything about you, because when you're an entrepreneur, a small business, you are the business. You are everything to the business. So our interest is in you, knowing everything about that business, because we want to partner with the ones that have the expertise.
I would definitely say that you are the expert in your business. From a banking perspective, as we say we want you to understand banking, I want to understand your business. Obviously, from a bank, we handle your finances stuff, right? I always like to tell people, I'm not necessarily your money manager, but we are your money holders. But what I need to understand is how you're going to be taking payments. How are you going to be paying out? I was talking to one earlier about, are you going to be paid 90 days down the road from when you actually do the job? I want to I need to know how your business is going to function, so that way I can make sure I'm helping you use that more wisely. Because you really are the only expert. I work with lots of different businesses. That's one thing I've learned. You can get paid to do anything in this world. And I am not going to be an expert on those, but you are. So I ask for you to educate me and show me your vision too. So when I hear or learn or know something, I'm like, oh, I can so help them. That's what I like as well for you.
I think one of the things that's really important beyond the business plan in a lot of ways is that you understand your industry, you understand the economic environment, you understand where you're setting up may be different from where X company is setting up, and that demographic may be different from this demographic, and you really need to understand your business and how it fits at that time and place. Beyond the business plan, are you in an emerging environment? Are you in an emerging industry? Or are you in a growth industry? Because those things are going to impact how you have to go about your business.
So if you have someone, and there's a point about the business plan I want to go back to, so let's hit what you're talking about. I'm trying to break this down to a level these entrepreneurs to go back and chew on. My business may be doing gift baskets. My business may be doing small commercial cleaning. In other words, how do they translate what their business is, if it's large or small, hot dog vendor, what have you? What does that mean to you as far as showing trends for that type of business? How does a gift basket maker understand trends? What should they be looking for?
My initial thought on that is just, who are you selling to? Where is the market at that time in terms of geographically as well as economically? What is the discretionary income where you're trying to sell?
Do your banks have a certain range? If someone's looking at a demographic or geographically speaking for a small restaurant, or maybe they're doing a lawn care service, should they be looking for a certain square mileage? Should it be within 15 miles of their business, 20? Is there anything that you guys look at, or is that kind of arbitrary? Doesn't matter? Okay. Let's hit another thing. Business plan. If somebody comes to you for a business plan, should it always have to show that they made a profit in the first year? I know the answer to that, but can you speak to that a little bit? Because everybody goes in saying, the first year we're going to make this, and I'm looking at it saying, well, hire me. So speak to that about what the business plan really means when you guys look at it from the finances part, and does it really have to show a profit right away, and what does that signify to you if it does? I told you the question's going to be hard.
From a business plan perspective, we want to know that for mine, I want to know that you believe in your business and you have a plan. But, because I'm good at the financial product, the business plan, it doesn't always, because like you said, these are projections, right? So you have your business plan, which is your mission, your vision, your values, all of that stuff. And then you have your projection sheet. I can make a projection. And so, that's going to come, we really like to look at your history as well as have you been in the business before and that kind of stuff. But a business plan at least lets us know that you have a plan, but when it comes to the numbers wise, we don't always, those are projections. And I'm glad that you have projections because it means you've thought about it, but it doesn't always influence exactly what we're going to be doing for you.
That question would be, no. We take a business plan, look out probably about 5 years. And understanding, you know, a new business owner in the market, you probably not going to see a total return that first year. So, but when you get into your third and fourth year, you should start seeing a little small return. Because in the initial years, what you should be doing is actually building that business with the returns that you have, so you can kind of, you know, continue to grow. So the first 2 to 3 years, you won't see that much of a growth. It goes back into the business.
So in other words, they need to make sure they can account for where their money is going and how the money that's coming in is going to translate into their business growth.
And that's what the business plan, because it's going to be updated, you know, especially new with your business plan. It's going to be updated probably yearly, because that would follow the trend, where you put your money, what's the growth you've seen in the first year, second year, kind of triggers where you're going to put more money in.
So the first point that I want to make sure everyone understands, and I'm here in a dual role. I'm here as a moderator, but I'm also here in the side of that. I work with some of you, and I hope to work with more of you. If you're coming to me, talking to me about your business plan, I am not going to look at the numbers right away. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you, take the numbers off the table. I need to understand what your business is, who you're going to be doing your business for, and what is it that you're providing for them that makes sense to them. Do not say to me, this is what I want to sell to everybody. I'd rather hear, this is what the clients need, and I'm going to provide it. Because that's what's going to translate into what we call that Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the financial world, customers. If you don't have customers, everything else is just moot. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Yes, sir.
And the biggest thing about business plan is you just have to be realistic with it. If you can have pie in the sky, you know, projections that if they aren't going to materialize, then you've not done yourself or your banker any favors. And that's, you know, one thing that you'll see with projections is, okay, I'm going to make $1 million this first year. Well, now, most of the time, you're going to go through a growth process, and that first year, you're going to actually look at a whole lot of capital input into that business, right? So you got to put money into it, and then you have to understand the difference between debt and equity and how that affects that business, right? So you have to take all those things into consideration in your business plan. At the bottom, you should actually have a line item that shows how you intend to get that, whether it's financing or equity.
When you're thinking about your respective banks, one of the things that I find with entrepreneurs is they'll go to one bank and it'll be a no, and they'll go to the next bank and it'll be a resounding yes, as far as we want to work with you, we want to do a lot of things with you. Do you have a niche market that, as a bank, you like to do business with? That doesn't mean you won't take anybody's money in here. But are there certain areas of retail or service or industry that your bank has a collective organization tends to deal with more? And can you speak to that a little bit?
Where Regions is today regarding that is we have specialists within our organization. We have people who are very good at retail. We have people who are very good at SBA. We have people who I did admin in my previous role. So we're trying to direct you to an individual who has the most expertise where you need it. So we do have targeted industries, but
what are some of your targeted industries?
Medical, manufacturing. Those are two of the bigger, targeted industries that, I think everyone up here would agree that that's where you're looking in those. But that's the big thing. We have, speaking for Rigdon and probably for everyone else, everybody has specialized relationship managers to help you with whatever you need.
Okay. And you call them relationship managers at Rigdon.
Correct.
That's another key, because sometimes you guys have different terms for the same thing. So do you have the equivalent, and what are your niche areas?
Our niche areas for deposits, for your checking accounts, for all those, we don't have a niche area. It's really, you're a small business, we'd like to win your business. We'd like to earn that. Lending, that is something we to a point, have a niche, one of the things we try to see, something, for instance, I know a big fad, you've seen a lot of maybe gyms opening, like hot yoga places and CrossFit huge right now. Those kind of places, those are ones we have a really hard time with when it comes to lending, because they don't have a long history and it's kind of a new fad/phase. And maybe phase, may not, who knows? And we don't know, which is why that's something that we're not real keen on. But other than that, when it comes to financials, we don't have a niche for deposits and lending. We just try, usually the fads are the hardest ones for us to be able to lend to. We have what we call branch bankers that are in the bank. Then you have many that are called market leaders. Then you have small business specialists, and then we have business services officers.
We do all the ones they say. We do it. But one of the special niches that we've actually done for small business, in 2007-8, when everything kind of fell through, we kind of put together some products for individuals that went through a hard time in their businesses and couldn't find themselves to get an account at other banks because of past history. So we kind of put together opportunity checking accounts, which is for businesses and personal. And, you know, sometimes when you look at a history of an individual, and we all took, some of us took some hard falls during this crisis, but we allow these individuals to come on and still get an account to kind of rebuild their business back up. And, you know, being in this product for a year, as long as there is, you know, stabilized history behind it, we then put you back into a regular checking account or maybe a loan and anything. But that was one of the things we specialized in, and it grew over the last 4 years.
Thank you for that. We talked earlier about the business plan and whether someone has a history. If someone doesn't have a history and they know someone else in the business, in that same business, that has a long history, particularly they may have a relationship with the bank, can that help them if they bring that person in with them as they establish a relationship?
Yes, it would help them. I mean, it's probably a small percentage. It would help them with the relationship that individual has, but it's ultimately going to be on the relationship of that individual that's trying to get a partnership or a banking relationship with the bank. And you know, most times it takes you to start that relationship, because for me, it's like looking at a credit report. When I look at that credit report, it's going to tell details about the individual without me even meeting the individual. But that starts the relationship. What do we need to do? Where you're trying to go? What you've been through that we can help you get out of it. So,
does someone need to get everything straight on their credit before they start to establish that relationship?
No. You don't have to get it straight. That through the process, we'll help you get there.
Good. One of the things I find a lot of times when I'm dealing with entrepreneurs, they say to me, "Oh, I was going to come to E3 after I got everything together." And I look at them and say, well, if you got everything together, why can't you come to E3? You know, that's the whole point. And I think with your banks as well. The banks started off today saying, we want to educate you. Well, they can't educate you if they don't know what you need to learn. And they won't know what you need to learn if you start saying to them, I don't know. And I think the 5 most powerful words for any entrepreneur in this room when you're talking to a bank or when you're talking to a potential sponsor is, I need your help, please. I need your help, please. Because that puts them in a mindset of giving information, giving you opportunity. They may have a relationship. Now, I know what Keith said, I'm going to contradict that just a little bit. He said it doesn't matter a lot. But if you have a relationship with a banker, and that banker aligns you with somebody else who's already been in the business, and you guys have done this, hey, this is somebody I want you to meet. You know, they've been doing this and that. And they go out and meet that person, establish a relationship with them, and then come back to you with the person you introduced them to. You're going to listen to them. Because you have respect for that business person, and you know they have the qualities or the principles that you want to see in a client. And if they go underneath their tutelage, this is how mentoring needs to work. Don't just blindly get a mentor. Get a mentor that's going to make something happen. And banks know some of the best mentors for you. But they can't mentor you if you don't tell them what you need help with. If I'm speaking wrong, tell me. All right? If you're looking at a business that comes in and they have everything that's just terrible, as Charles Walker says, terrible, what would you do? And what is the best approach that you take to tell them they need more help? And what are some of the things that you do to kind of put them on that right track? A lot of people walk away from the bank and say, yeah, they don't care, they don't want to help me. How do you deal with somebody that you know is just not ready?
I them why, I would want to know how did you get in that position. That tells you a lot about why did you get there, what took you there. It's hard to come up with a plan if you don't really know how it started. Where did the roots begin? So let's say you're in a terrible position, your checking account or it was lending, or I want to know, okay, well, what got you there? Was it that you didn't take the time to do your books because you're really good at your business? So when I look at terrible and I think banking, that's what I think of, your checking account, you paid this many fees, why did you pay that many? Let's look again at your cash flow, cash in and cash out. What are you bringing in? Did you just realize if you wrote that check one day later, would that have made a huge difference? And so I go back, I look at the history, and I want to know how you got there. Now let's come up with a plan of how you don't get there again and how to get you out of where you are now.
If somebody is coming to you and they're not ready, they're just not ready, whether it's because they've done things wrong or they're coming with that initial business plan and they walked into the bank not at the right time, how do you deal with that without discouraging them? What's your approach?
I'm 4 days in the market, remember, so if I use a name or something that people aren't familiar with.
We'll talk about you after you leave, no problem.
But in Tallahassee, we used to partner with the Family Small Business Development Center, and I would, take entrepreneurs who were working on a business plan, who needed advice, who needed some redirection. I would work with the gentleman and keep hours there, and the three of us might sit down and go over, okay, this is where you are, this is why, this is how, this is corrective action.
To sorry to get back of where I continue if you're not quite there. I work a lot with that chamber also, as I know that it was E3. Those are...
Ooh, I didn't know if anybody was going to pick that up.
But those are, I definitely, because like I said in the very beginning, I can't help you. I know somebody who can. And I'm going to point you in that direction. My goal is really to get your name and your number and get it to them because Anthony, that's his heart and passion. So again, you're so busy running your business, you're like, I'll do it later, whereas he's going to reach out to you to make sure you get help. So that is something that, those are resources that that's part of our job, as part of the getting involved with the community, seeing how we can help people. So whether it's the chamber, whether it's Jacksonville, the public library, E3, those are all sources that I know I definitely use.
I think it's not a no, but it's not yet. And like she just said, it's the partners that we have. Because everybody's at a different level when it comes to their business. And if you had a terrible fall, like she said, we look at the history. What can we do today? If it's nothing, we're going to get you those partners that we can get you built back up, to get your business back rolling and making money. Well, ultimately where you want to be.
Okay, now I'm going to start getting some things from the entrepreneurial side, because I know some things you guys asked me that I'd like to turn ahead. Somebody have questions? Let's go with that. Okay, you ask one, and then look at the answers, and then ask the other.
Okay, well, the first one, you touched on earlier how it was a question similar to like what business areas, like what niche was most successful. My question is, I believe it was said medical and manufacturing, but what exactly in that area is like? Did you just see trends of it being successful?
Trends in medical are scary a little bit right now with all the regulation and legislation going on. So everything's one-off. If you guys would agree with that, it's kind of a case-by-case transaction at all, but on a case-by-case basis. We sit down and look at what you're bringing to the table and work with you. Trends in different markets are different. Like real estate trends, a lot of areas are coming back now. But just depends on the particular environment.
Environment as in like what business plan is, or what area you're working with, what you're targeting, like the market.
All of the above.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And the other question is, when you're growing any business, and obviously the first couple of years will be a little rough to get it all going. How do you know, if it's not as successful in the first, couple of years? How do you know that if you should keep going, or if it, you know, it's pretty rough, when you know that you could kind of stop and move on with something else. If, I'm sorry, explain that clear enough, but, okay.
I'll be honest enough to tell you I'm not the expert in that, and that's when I would point you to E3, to the Small Business Center, because, I mean, that is not my expertise as a banker. That is, you know, a lot of times it's regular business, or you used to do all the time that gone out of business, but they've come back, or they've lost a lot, but they've had that part. So, I would not be the right one, but that's where I would look at you and say, this is the place that you can go to ask those questions and to get those coaches. That if they have that, they can see this is where it struggles, work in this area, and that will make the biggest difference. But that's where we point you in that.
There are so many resources that are here today. The Jacksonville Women's Business Center, as a woman entrepreneur, no brainer. Go talk to them. They have help. They have resources. The Small Business Administration, they're not the big dog on the block. They can be on your benefit, but they also help you on a micro level. Use the Small Business Administration. Even though it's a government entity, all their local offices are in the field, they're in the mix, they know what's going on. I use them as a resource when I'm helping entrepreneurs. It just makes sense. The Chamber of Commerce, now some chambers of commerce have forgotten the face of their fathers, if you will. They started off as chambers of commerce. But I'd like to think that here in Jacksonville, we're seeing a change. We're seeing with entrepreneurship underneath Dr. Carlson Robinson, the Jax Bridges program, Antoni's field raising, and Antoni just went through that program, Next Level Cleaning. E3 recommended him to Jax Bridges, and he excelled there. So there are a plethora of resources that are out there for you. It's just a matter of going and again asking, say, hey, I need help, please, in this area. Can you help? And we all want to try to get you help because they want you strong so that you can come back to them and then they can squabble over who's going to get your check in the check. Does that make sense? All right. I see a question in the back. I'm going to ask one question. I'm going to work back to you. One thing that I'd like to speak to for the entrepreneurs in the room, payment options. When they're setting up their business and they're getting past the point where they're doing cash transactions all the time and they're starting to do check transactions, or some people may go into the PayPal and stuff like that. Can you speak to what are some of the things that as a bank, without getting too salesy, but I do want you to share, what are some of the things that you offer that can help small business leverage their ability to make revenue so that that working capital becomes net working capital that you can lay your hands on within 30 days for those of you, okay?
You know, in terms of taking money or recognizing revenue, you have your Visa MasterCard programs. I shouldn't leave out American Express and Discover, I'm sorry, but we partner with someone, and I won't get salty. But we do have a merchant services partner that we work with. You know, we have a whole treasury management department that assists you in cash inflows and outflows, and again, we have specialists that kind of lead you through that process to make you aware of how you can optimize your cash and be really efficient with your cash.
One thing you want to think about is what's convenient for who you are reaching out to the most. Is it going to be convenient for them to pay over the phone? Is it going to be convenient for them to, you know, if you're lawn, landscape, or you're driving to them, or is it going to be convenient for them to pay through your phone? Is it going to be, you really have to know your clients. How do they want to pay you? They probably asked you already, do you do this? If it's one of 100, and that's what it costs. But if all of them are asking you, you may want to consider that. But think about what's most convenient. So we have, and probably all of us here, have the opportunity for us to link you with merchant services, whether it's through your phone, through online, you can go to your website and pay, or if you have a storefront and it's a retail and you want it to do inventory and swipe your cards, whether it's what they call the POS system. Those are things that we can have for you, whether if they've asked you, will you just debit my checking account using their routing and your account number, well, we can do that. You know, we have those set up to be able to help you do that. The question is, what is going to be most convenient for your client?
I think what you just said, you know, what's convenient for you and what's the least costly to do it, because there's multiple ways to get payments in. Like you said, when it comes to POS, when it comes to merchant service, there are fees connected to that. Do you have a big enough customer base to absorb that fee? If so, it might be good for you because, money is direct deposit into your account. But it's not, there's so many ways customers can pay you today versus, a couple of years ago.
My question is, if you start off as a hobby, at what point do you come to the banker and say, okay, now I'm going to turn this into a full-blown business, an account? When should I just do it if I'm making this amount of money that, okay, I should not just throw it into my account, my personal account, I'm going to establish a business account. Where do you kind of differentiate there?
That's a good one. I'll take that one. I had a personal experience. My wife does home decor, and it's a passion because she does it without charging people. She takes out money, she'll put on everything. So I asked her, I said, I need you to make this a business so at least it can take care of itself. So the business she was doing, I would say in a year, she could have easily made $20,000, $25,000, what she was doing. That went on for about 3 years until we actually turned it into a business. And that passion, and the reason I knew it was a business because she would do it without being paid. So the time she put into that business, really took away from us, our kids. Now we actually turned into a business. Now it's revenue flowing in the company. So if you do this without being paid, because as an entrepreneur, you got to breathe, sleep, eat. It's all about you. If you pull yourself out of that equation, will that business make it? So you're everything. That's why I say business owners, you are the highlight when it comes to us making decisions. You are the business.
Okay, we have an extra comment that's going to come from the Galleria. I'm very pleased that we have professionals in the room. One of them is Mr. Franklin Delaney. He happens to be the market president for Northeast Florida at Rigdon, and he's going to share a comment that he was moved to share with the audience.
Thank you, Anthony. Good morning, everybody. Just out of curiosity, how many people in here are business owner or in the process? I just want to say thank you. Because people like you, y'all are the ones that are getting this country back on its feet. And small business is the backbone of everything that we do. So I appreciate that. A couple things that I want to just mention real quickly. And I don't know your name, but you asked a question about industries and the medical and the manufacturing and everything like that. I'm going to take you behind the curtain for just a second for a bank. And all banks manage risk, and so we have to be right basically about 99% of the time. If we're wrong, more than that, well then we have all sorts of regulatory hurdles that we have to overcome, and credit quality challenges and things of that nature that we have to deal with. So we've got to get it right. Sometimes that means saying no, but it also means we have to know our industry. And so every industry has a risk profile. Now, what you need to know about that is that just because you operate in a certain industry that might have a tougher risk profile, that doesn't mean that we can't bank you. Doesn't mean that you're not bankable. There are great companies that operate within what we would consider a riskier industry. Let me give you an example. If you're opening up a restaurant, well, there's a greater chance that restaurant's going to go under in 3 years than there is if you're a medical physician. Or if you've got a plant that's manufacturing something and you've got a diverse group of customers that are buying from you. So we got to look at things like that. Doesn't mean that we can't bank you. But a couple of things that you also need to be thinking about, or what we're going to be thinking about, when you come see us, have you thought about things like secondary sources of repayment? So if you're asking for us to give you money, then do you have a way to pay it back in a secondary way to pay back? Maybe that's in the form of collateral. Maybe that's in the form of a guarantor, family member or friend, somebody who's willing to work with you with things like that. And then the other couple things that I would really encourage you to think about, as you're starting or in the process of starting your business, take a hard look at your credit history. So, oftentimes people's past history that can come up to bite them at a critical point in the process of getting an application or a loan. So we want to make sure that you've got a strong credit history. That's important. But for us, I'll tell you, for all banks, we're not nonprofits. We have to make a profit for our shareholders. But all banks, the greatest source of income, it comes from what we call earning assets. And that's a fancy way of saying the word loan.
And I can tell you for reasons right now, we got for every dollar in deposit, we got 82 cents in loan balance. So all banks are in that though. We want to lend money, but the environment today, there's a silver lining for what we've gone through over the last 4 or 5, 6 years. We have to make smarter decisions. And sometimes the best answer you can get right now is no. But to all 3 of these bankers' credit, it's let me show you how. Let me show you what you need to be thinking about. Let me connect you to somebody who can give you that assistance. If you're not getting that from your banker, I see 3 up here that would be good choices for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we've had a great dialogue here today. We're about to break this up. What I want to invite everyone to do is, as the bankers leave here today, make sure you get their cards. I want to get everybody back over to the other areas. And I think what I'm going to do for the rest of the presentations, except for is Jack, I may actually have them over on the other side. I'm having a mindset of, do I want to pull people away to get them, since we got an area set up. And Jack, we may even be able to do your presentation over there on that side as well, so everybody gets the benefit of it without, am I allowed to make a change? All right, so we set in history, so I want to make sure we chart it right. Please give them a warm round of applause for what they've done today. Franklin said it very aptly. They're all good at what they do. At the end of the day, get to know them. You are in a situation where you have direct access. You don't have to make an appointment. They're here. They're here for one reason. They're trying to secure your business. I mean, that's the point. I know you don't want to just be here for 4 days. You want to stay for a while, right? So he wants business. Thank you so much for coming out, Steve. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Darrell, for coming out and having faith in this. To have 3 banks that took the time. How often do you see 3 banks in the same room together, first of all? I mean, that just hasn't happened. That's like seeing 3 politicians. Well, that's second thing. But we have an opportunity right now to do what others won't. Take the time, talk, get to know these people that work in the banking industry, these people, so that they can get to know these people that are entrepreneurs, mothers, fathers, caregivers, teachers, educators, cleaners, real estate, life coaches. You're here as people. They're here as people. Make that connection.
Biggest struggle for me was to make sure that I balanced myself. The same balance that I put out for my staff and trying to make sure that the clients have balance with the services I provide, I had to make sure I suffered with balance in my own life because I wanted to make sure everybody had what they needed, but at the same time I was suffering.
As entrepreneurs, when you wake up in the morning, you're already thinking about business. When you lay down, you're thinking about business. I enjoy the process. I enjoy learning the application because the finished product is that damn good.
Think about tomorrow, the weekend, next week. What are your time users? Where do you spend all your working hours? What are you doing? Write them down. Now pick out and eliminate everything and focus and align your time on those top 5 goals. You have to be laser focused. If you let all this other stuff get in the way, you're never going to get to San Francisco. As you grow, you're going to find with rapid growth, you lose control of cost control. And so it's important to remember that you look backwards and internally on operational excellence. And so looking at standardizing processes, speed, how rapidly can you respond to things, simplify as much as you can and optimize your business.
My name is Rasheda Mitchell. I am a writer of Twisted Writer's Touch. I'm a branding visionary specialist of DverseMantle. I am also a community affairs advocate of DverseMantle Housing and Community Affairs, and I also do the branding for Simply Sweet Bake Shop. My expectations of this event were to connect with other like-minded individuals, whether it's personally or business, so that I can take all of my businesses to the next level. I would definitely recommend the E3 Expo to everyone within earshot. It is something that is very much needed in our community.
My name is Justin Rigdon. I work with the One Spark organization, and we are the world's largest crowdfunding festival that helps connect creators with the means and investments to bring their dreams to life. I recently just heard about the E3 Expo. As One Spark, we work with entrepreneurs, so it seemed like a really good fit with us. And coming to the Expo introduced us to a lot of local entrepreneurs and found out how we can help connect them, with our festival.
Well, my name is Nina Salvaggio. I am actually the Communications Outreach Coordinator for the City of Jacksonville's Small and Emerging Business Program, which is JSEP for short. My experience with E3 started back in August. I met with Anthony when all of this was very first beginning. My director sent me over there to learn more about the program, and as soon as I heard his story and heard his vision for this, I knew that this was something we had to be a part of. So we were one of the very first sponsors to go ahead and get on board with this, and today has been really good. We got a lot of people here, a lot of entrepreneurs who are either just now starting or are at a level where we can take them on and bring them into our program and get them working with the city. My expectations of this event were really just to reach as many people as possible. We thought we would get about 15 to 20 maybe interested applicants in our program. We ended up giving out about 35 applications. So this event has actually exceeded all of our expectations. Being the outreach coordinator, I've been to quite a few expos and trade shows for the program, and this has been one of the most beneficial, I think, both for the vendors and for the attendees. I would definitely recommend it for anyone who's either looking to start a business, already has a business, or even has a large business. I think a lot of the speakers had really good things and really good input for everyone.
I'm Alvin W. King. I am the owner and founder of Infinite Solutions International. We provide life coaching, financial coaching, and motivational speaking services. My experience with E3 has been a phenomenal one. As a proud member, now going on 3 years of E3 Business Group, I have gained a lot of wealth of knowledge and support, and this event is really a kickoff as well. So I'm able to share with other vendors and get some other information that I need as a business owner to promote and take my business to the next level.
My name is Brenda Cummings, and the name of my business is Events by Posh Design. It is an event planning business. My experience with E3 was tremendous. I really love it. This expo is excellent. My friend told me about it, and I'm so glad that I came. My expectations was just to get a little information, but it was so much more than that. It was very informative, and I'm going back with so much knowledge. I really appreciate it. I definitely would recommend this expo to anyone that's starting a business or have a business and needs to get more information.
Well, we have just completed what is going to be listed as a historic evening day for entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, established entrepreneurs. We saw for the first time multiple banks in one environment giving a dialogue, sharing about their relationships. We had entrepreneurs that make $25,000 a year and entrepreneurs that make 6 figures a year, side by side, networking, collaborating. We had 5 people get contracts today. We had 2 people that secured office space. We had 3 businesses that decided they were going to collaborate together, and we had resources from the city, from the state, and from the county, all out here doing one thing: educating, encouraging, and empowering our entrepreneurs. As National Director of E3, I can say that this is a bucket list item for me. We had some amazing presentations. I'm sharing this with you because of the work of Panthera Pictures, which did the first ever Power Moments. We have done things that the library and that the city of Jacksonville has never seen, but hopefully we'll be seeing for years to come. So I'm sitting here humbled, feeling ultimately blessed and at peace with the work that the entrepreneurs are doing. And I think that we will continue to do this as long as we remember that it's always about others before us, and we keep in mind that we never want to settle for anything less than our collective best.